Good morning and welcome to the Northern Territory in the Back Indigenous Business Resilience Program. Today is our campfire yarn and we're really excited to invite our guest that's come on today, Shane Kennelly. But before we start, let me start first by acknowledging the traditional custodians on the land upon which we are meeting and talking today. I'm on Gimuy Wallaburri Dingji country in Cairns, far north Queensland. But I acknowledge all First Nations people, our elders, past, present and emerging, and extend my respects to you, your family, and wherever you are today. But today we're really excited to invite Shane Kennelly. Shane Kennelly is the Managing Director for Kennelly Constructions, and I've known Shane for a long time, and have worked with Shane different across, boards and things like that. But really excited because Shane's doing some really deadly stuff in the Northern Territory. So welcome, Shane.
Thanks, Sis. Yeah, great to be on, and I'm looking forward to our yarn today.
Yeah. So Shane, you've started, it was interesting, how you started and, what you studied. I'll never forget a talk we did years ago, and there I was sitting waiting for my turn, and then up jumped Shane Kennelly and he starts talking. I'm like, oh my gosh, how do I talk after that? And things like that. So can you share a little bit about yourself and your journey?
Yeah, I guess I'm a proud Bundjalung man, and my family all sort of comes from Cabbage Tree near Ballina, in northern New South Wales. Born in Brisbane, raised in Brisbane, we moved down to Beaudesert Way and went to high school there, and fell in love with aircraft and probably wanted to be Tom Cruise from Top Gun back when the movie came out, and I decided to go and do aeronautical engineering, and went down to Sydney and studied there, and graduated in the early, mid-90s. And from there I sort of got into construction, and I guess I love building stuff, and that was a natural thing for me from being an engineer to moving into being involved in buildings, telecommunications, and mining, until we started the business back 10 years ago with my brother.
Yeah, that's deadly, because I remember that movie when it came out, and if you didn't want to be Tom Cruise, you had a crush on Tom Cruise. That resonates with us all, absolutely.
Yeah.
And your journey in your business has been so incredible to watch, to see where you grow, because to be an Indigenous business in your field, and still be going 10 years later and going from strength to strength. How have you found your business journey?
Look, I guess business is never easy, and I think also particularly, as a business owner and trying to balance, life in general with family and raising children. My wife and I, Liz, have got 5 kids from, they're now, the youngest is 10 and our eldest is in his last year of high school. So I think, as a business owner, we've got to work so hard on so many different fronts that I guess we from our perspective, I guess everyone works with us as part of our family, and so we need to ensure that we're providing for them and making sure that we've got a pipeline of work that can keep people gainfully employed. And I think that's always front of mind for us as a business owner, is that we need to be successful because they've got so many people that really rely upon us and work with us, and we've got to make sure that we have them front of mind all the time.
Yeah, and you don't just work down in southeast Queensland, you're kind of all over the place, aren't you? What are some of the locations that you've been working in?
Yeah, I guess for us the journey started here on Gubbi country, here on the Sunshine Coast, where our head office is, and we expanded our business and went with the mining boom in Queensland and the oil and gas boom in sort of the 2015. We decided to make a journey. Actually, it was a bit earlier than that, up to the Northern Territory. We've seen some opportunities up there, particularly around the INPEX project, and we loaded up 20 of our machines on a barge and took a punt, and they landed in Darwin. We didn't have a job, but we worked hard and connected with local companies there, and our businesses got a really solid base up there, and probably 75% of our work at the moment is in the Northern Territory.
Wow, because what we're finding, there is so much work, like so many opportunities in the Northern Territory. More importantly, you did a partnership with the Larrakia, the organisation there. Tell us about that.
Yeah, look, privileged the fact that I've known Nigel Brown for many years, and again we've worked on a couple of advisory boards together, and we really connected and very much on the same page around looking at how we can sort of improve the economic outcome for Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders, and Nigel had been working on it's a land claim that's on the Cox Peninsula. That land native title claim is one of the longest native title claim, and that finally one of the pieces of the puzzle, I guess, is to rehabilitate Waggai Tip, which is an old general sort of rubbish tip that was on the peninsula, and I guess there's a lot of domestic and building rubbish, and Nigel advocated and worked with both the federal and the territory governments for Larrakia to be given an opportunity, and Nigel approached me and said, look, Bros, can we work with you guys in terms of your capability and capacity? And we formed a non-incorporated joint venture, and we've been working on that project now for around about 6 months, and it's working very well. Great, we've got a great team there, and more importantly, we've really been able to provide local Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders some job opportunities, as well as being inclusive in our supply chain.
That's fantastic, because we hear about joint ventures a lot, but they're generally between a non-Indigenous company and an Indigenous company. So hearing a joint venture like this is really encouraging and really exciting, actually. Yeah. What sort of do you see growth opportunities in the future around this and for NT Indigenous mob?
Oh, look, absolutely. I think that one of the things is, I guess, a business like ours that is much more mature. I guess opportunities haven't really come around for Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander businesses, and I think it wasn't until we've seen the procurement policies where we've seen a real growth in all sectors, and particularly construction. I think we're very much in our early journey with a lot of these smaller sort of businesses. So for us, I guess we see our role these days is how can we actually be inclusive of these businesses into our supply chain, because if we can help them grow, they're going to help us grow.
Yeah, definitely.
And to a point that they're able to actually tender on some other projects, and some opportunities have come up, outside of the joint venture with Larrakia, with some other smaller Aboriginal businesses in the Northern Territory, and recently there's a electrical and air conditioning business that we've partnered with, and we've brought them along the journey on a defence job, and I guess under normal circumstances they probably wouldn't have been given this opportunity, but the Department of Defence have set up some stimulus works where it enabled us to be a head contractor and us to engage with the businesses to get them involved in a defence job. And as we know, the Prime Minister's announced there's a lot of spend to be had in the construction, particularly for defence across Australia. So we see this a great opportunity for any construction supply chain opportunities into the defence space for small and medium Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander businesses.
And the difference, I guess, we talk about with building Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander companies and how we have that role and effect, and this is such an incredible way of showing that roll-on effect for us as mob, and the return on investment, but also the social return. We've got the financial business, but how it's affecting businesses and community as well. So it's really deadly to hear the stuff that you're doing. Can you tell us what sort of things do you look for, though, like when you're looking for to add new Aboriginal and Torres Strait businesses within the supply chain? Can you give some it's kind of like some tips, I guess?
Yeah, look, I guess we held a bit of a forum early this year with the NTIPN business network, and we sort of talked to them about how do you get into, particularly into the defence space, and some critical things that you as a supplier need to understand is around some of the conditions, particularly working in defence. Is generally you need to be able to have some bank guarantee facilities. Again, defence require bonding, during the project and also during the defects liability period. So that's generally, 12 months after your works is completed. Also, particularly the insurances that you need. You need to have a certain amount for public liability. You need to obviously have workers' comp. And if there's some design elements, you need to have professional indemnity. And then it's obviously important to have, cash flow. So I think some of those particular points are critical, and they can be challenging as a new business owner, particularly for our mob, because we obviously don't have intergenerational wealth to be able to support to fund some of these facilities that are required. And I tell people to reach out to IBA in particular to see how they may be able to support them to have these types of facilities, because without them it's pretty challenging to get a start. And also just in terms of walking them through the tender requirements, because of federally funded projects, Building Code 2016 is critical, that you've got to be able to comply with that. Otherwise, again, you can't work in any federally funded project. So they're probably some of the key things that we talk about, that they're a go or no-go criteria to be able to get into the supply chain.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And it's good having that really inside information, because sometimes we can go to, informations and sessions and things like that, and sometimes it doesn't sort of stick or what you really require. So having that really, knowledge that you're sharing is so important for businesses as well. So, but that's fantastic. So, we've been through such a difficult time with COVID-19. And I know that up there in the Territory and here in Queensland, how do you think, where do you see as the NT, do you see a real growth opportunity coming into post-COVID-19? Do you see more opportunities coming up?
Yeah, look, again, I think defence, I keep telling any of the black businesses up there that, get yourself ready, because for the next sort of 10 years, there's a lot of spend to happen up in Northern Australia. And, whether we like, I think geopolitically, some decisions have been made by our governments to strengthen our defence, and a lot of work has to happen to support a lot of the new assets that defence is purchasing, particularly whether it be a naval fleet, the Air Force fleet, or the Army fleet. So with that, there's new buildings, there's new infrastructure that needs to be built to support them. And so it really is a great opportunity. And, my phone or email or anything, if people want to reach out to me to talk more about how do they get themselves ready, I'm more than happy to provide that support, because I think it's a great opportunity. And the good thing about this work is it's got some sustainability about it. So you can really go, you know what, over the next 10 years, I can really build a business that is resilient, is definitely going to have the opportunity, because the demand's going to be there. And again, There's some other opportunities, particularly with the closure of ERA mine. And again, I say to the businesses up there, reach out. There is a portal there where you can go and express interest that ERA have set up. And I know NTIBN sent that link out, I think, last week or the week before. And they're probably two sort of major areas at the moment I see some great opportunity and some sustainability for you to be able to look at how you can get yourself in those supply chain and build a business.
Yeah, and it's really good too because, you know, that we were coming through COVID and it was really quite, you know, not doom and gloom, but people were really concerned about what do we do now. But we've seen so many businesses pivot and change what they're doing, you know, to do. But it's good to hear that there is long-term opportunities because we're so used to short-term, but actually the long-term is so important for us and the growth of our economic outcome and our, you know, dependence. So fantastic. So Shane, so today we're talking to Shane Kennelly, Managing Director for Kennelly Constructions. Shane, is there any last words you'd like to leave with people?
Look, I think like our elders and older people before us, I think, you know, we are resilient. And I think it's important that we keep that focus and don't give up. There's definitely opportunities in the Northern Territory, and it's good to go and talk to people that are already working in these industries. You know, reach out, and as I said, my phone's always there if people want to reach out and have a yarn. I'll give you my guidance and any help that I can and put you in the right direction if I need to give you some connections or a leg up, because it's important that we all work together and you know, achieve the outcomes that we need and provide economic sustainability for our mob. And as I said, there's this massive demand in the defence space in the Territory.
Yeah, that's so deadly to hear. Thank you so much. You know, your words of wisdom are so important for us as mob to listen to hear from other, you know, other mob, and also your words of wisdom around business and seeing how successful your journey is. But you're also taking mob on the journey with you, which I think is so important, and for our mob up in the NT. You know, so if you're listening in and you're an NT Indigenous business and you have some, you know, questions or things like that, reach out, like Shane had said, you know, reach out to his website, you know, send an email. The other thing you could do if you want more information, just comment deadly below and the team will be in contact with you. And we can also get, you know, contact back to Shane if you're having any difficulties. But thank you so much, brother. I've really enjoyed our chat. Actually, it was really interesting to hear, you know, what you're doing up in the NT and, you know, and also your joint venture opportunity up there. That's fantastic. It's so deadly to hear because a lot of people talk about it and you're doing it, you know, and you're providing those opportunities. So hats off to you, my brother. Good work. Yeah. So like I said, if you're interested in knowing more about the NT Indigenous Business Resilience Program and you are an NT Indigenous business, just comment deadly below and one of our team will be in contact with you. We'll also replay this video across all of our social media platforms. So if you are watching this on YouTube, just click on the link below and one of our team will be in contact as well. But let us finish on how we started by acknowledging all our Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people, pay our respects to your ancestors, elders, community, and all of our family. We thank you for listening in today. And once again, we thank you to our brother Shane Kennelly for coming on and sharing the incredible work that you're doing, Shane. So thanks for coming and thanks for listening in.
Thank you. See you.